regurgitate, things they read on social media, and when they hear people when they speak with bias, they just feel, well, that's the way it should also operate in Nigeria. But I think Oluka Ayodele also agrees with you, saying that all the agents have copies of the documents. Uploading the copies is like sending fax. The faxed copy is as good as the hard copy in hands. The agents did not cry foul. So I think that's quite a plausible comment there. Ola Babalola says, BKO, we miss you, sir. Please, what do you say about a news broadcast analyst who threw a poor jab at you when I think we won't give such small fry prominence on our channel. So let's change tack because of our time. In spite of all the pleas for clemency from various quarters, including diplomatic contacts, the court gave what many have described as a harsh sentence to former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, alongside his wife and a doctor. Do you agree with those who describe it as a test of Nigeria's diplomatic dexterity?
Well, I don't know. You see, I don't even think that the government of the UK will get involved in such a local matter. The way they reason is not the way we reason. When the facts are stacked against you, in their own country, nobody steps in to say, no, this is my person, he should not go to jail. In Nigeria, somebody steals 109 billion. He surrenders 44 billion out of 109. And we go to court without shame to say, oh, this person has returned 44 billion. And ultimately, we've seen cases when, for returning part of what they looted, the case will just be dispensed with. It will end there. Our law permits the Attorney General of the Federation to discontinue any criminal matter without answering questions from anyone. He is the most senior minister. Is the only minister that the president cannot delegate his position or delegate his job to anybody. Is the only minister that has to be educationally qualified for his position. We made the law in that way. Look, you can actually be a professor of history and become the Minister of Health. You can. But to be Attorney General of the Federation, you must be educationally qualified for the position. That means you have to be a lawyer. That is what makes his position, his job special. And he can discontinue any matter without even asking questions from the president or from anyone. And the president cannot, out of anger, delegate the functions of the Attorney General to anyone. I have to say this so that our viewers can know. Now, the way we handle dispensation of justice in our country is not the same way that it is done elsewhere. We've seen even in Israel, former heads of state jailed. In some other countries too. In Europe, we've seen former heads of state, somebody who became head of state, jailed. In our country, we are not going to jail head of state, the former head of state. No matter the evidence against him, we will come together and they will say, no, you can't do this. Don't disgrace him. You too, you will soon leave that position. So I knew all along that all of those pleas will fall on deaf ears. Their own society doesn't run like that. Ekweremadu's case was bad. One, in their society, they do not permit you selling your body parts in the way this has happened. And unfortunately for Ekweremadu, when he was not dealing with that boy directly, he was dealing with Dr. Obina. And Dr. Obina was said to have been given 4.5 million but he gave the boy only 270,000. Then Ekweremadu kept lying that this boy was his wife's cousin. I mean, his daughter's cousin, which means that he was his nephew. But in all, when Ekwemadu's phone was taken, his chats with the Dr. Obina, the Nigerian doctor that worked like a go-between, is in his chats, he never referred to the boy as his daughter Sonia's cousin. He kept referring to him as the guy, that guy. So the prosecutors reasoned that he was behaving like a big man who knew that he was getting involved in a crime and was trying to protect himself as much as possible. And the boy also claimed that they did not tell him the whole story about what they were bringing him to the UK to do. He claimed that they did not tell him. Whereas the law says, okay, if somebody is donating his organ, you have to tell him all that it entails, the risk involved, and all that. So that didn't happen. So they concluded that there was a hanky-panky and that they had a lot to hide. And when Ekweremadu, in all of the documents that he signed, he kept referring to the guy as his daughter Sonia's cousin. But when the facts were presented before him, he eventually apologized before the court. He admitted that he lied. Now, once you are in such a vulnerable situation, these people, they are not going to show mercy. They are not going to show mercy. Their society is not run like that. No matter what Nigeria says, they will still convict him. Look at what they did to James Ibori. They jailed James Ibori's wife. They jailed his lawyer. They jailed his girlfriend. Everyone connected to the matter. They linked everyone together, and I had everyone jailed. That is the way these people are. Once they can get a cast iron evidence against you, they will not show mercy. They can show mercy after you have served part of the sentence, part of the jail term. They could show mercy later on. But that they are going to say on account of pressure from Nigeria, no, they don't do that. This is a lesson to Nigerian leaders. We can build the best hospitals in the world in our country. Many years ago, Saudi princes used to come to UCH to receive Medicare. UCH was one of the best hospitals in the whole of the Commonwealth. The Saudi princes, they used to come here to be treated. The facts are there. Today, UCH is a shadow of his former self. His glory days are gone. What does it take us? What does it take people like Ekweremadu to build the best hospitals here? Even if we need expatriates to work on them for some time, train our own people to be able to manage the first-class equipment that will be put in those hospitals. What stops us from doing that? The boy, when the doctors suspecting hanky-panky declared that the boy was a mismatch, they didn't want to proceed with the procedure and declared that the boy was a mismatch. Obina, the doctor, was now looking for a way to send him back to Nigeria. Then the boy had to escape. The boy had to escape because he claimed that they told him that he would get a job here in the UK or that he could go to school. He was a telephone accessories seller. Those people used to sell phone accessories inside the wheelbarrow. That's what he was doing in Lagos. So let's look at the lessons. I believe that clemency may come later. He may not spend the entire term. Clemency may, if Nigeria still pushes for this. But honestly, the deed has been done, and I pity their daughter, knowing that the parents tried their best to keep their daughter alive. And look, the daughter is not in jail, and mommy and daddy and their doctor
Doctor.
are in jail. It's a very, very uh, emotive issue for that girl,
Absolutely.
and I really feel for her. Really feel for her. I can imagine how I would feel if my dad had to go to jail in the desire to keep me alive. I would almost even take my own life. It's so terrible, so terrible. But lessons have been learned. Let's make our own society conducive. If Cuba can be so great in medicine, there's nothing stopping Nigeria from having such advancement. Many Nigerians go to Egypt for Medicare. It's a shame. Big Nigerians, they go to Egypt for Medicare. Whereas even Egypt cannot keep its own best doctors. Egypt is just a third world nation. 11,600 Egyptian doctors left Egypt between 2019 and 2022 for Europe, America, and the Middle East countries like Qatar, UAE, and the rest. So imagine us going to Egypt and Malaysia for Medicare. We have what it takes to build world class medical facilities here in our country. But the priorities of our politicians, the priorities of our leaders are different. All they want to do is just steal all the money available as if they have two lifetimes to spend the money.
Right.
Just a bunch of greedy people.
Right. BKO.